Welcome everyone to SprintlyWorks podcast, where we discuss business, management, and innovation. I'm your host Rahul Abhisek, the CEO and partner at Strategico Global and SprintlyWorks. Strategico Global is a Nordic-based management consulting firm with the goal to accelerate the progress of strategic corporate initiatives with a team of graduate analysts and senior consultants. My guest today is Rasmus Pinomaa, Director Corporate Sustainability at Kemira. Kemira is a global chemicals company that serves customers in water-intensive industries, primarily in the pulp and paper and industry and water segment. Kemira is headquartered in Helsinki, Finland. The topic that we have for you today is sustainable business strategies and navigating the future. But before we get started, Rasmus, welcome. Could you please introduce yourself with few words and also talk a bit of your role at Kemira?
Yes, absolutely. Hello, everyone, and thank you, Rahul, for the invite. As said, Rasmus Pinomaa is the name. I'm heading corporate sustainability here at Kemira, and that, of course, entails a lot of different things, but mainly managing the corporate sustainability process in the company, defining important topics, setting targets and KPIs, building up governance, and so on. I think we will be talking a little bit about those things also today. But yes, that's very much it.
Great. Thanks for that, Rasmus. So then let's dive in. So the first question is, of course, as we all know now, the sustainability concerns are continuing to gain momentum. So primarily, how can businesses effectively adapt their strategies to address these changes?
Yeah, well, I mean, you need to, I think you need to, as a company, you need to start with what problems you're trying to solve. I think that's a good place to start. I mean, like historically, traditionally, we're working with money. We're working with different how we make a profit out of something, how we can manage the finances, and so on. I think where we should be moving now is in a similar direction with the sustainability topics. So we should be able to manage those in the same way, and that's of course. I mean that's kind of the starting point. We need to slowly move into integrating these sustainability topics in whatever we do. And as mentioned, the problems to solve, we need to define those. I mean, some companies have like a close relationship to social activities. Maybe their main impact is somewhere on the social side in terms of human safety or human health or something like that. And some companies are more, let's say, maybe on the environmental side. Maybe they can change their portfolio so that they are advancing environmental issues instead of working against those. So I think that's a little bit the direction where we need to be heading, more or less a license to operate going forwards. So maybe that a little bit setting the scene here.
Yeah, of course, makes sense. So let's double click on it. Let's go deeper. What would you say would be some of the specific steps that businesses can take to identify the areas that they need to improve in?
Well, I think the first really important step is to integrate these sustainability topics into whatever you do. So they should be like a concrete part of your strategy in one or the other way. That's kind of the clear first step, I think. And to be able to make that step, you need to understand your impact, your risks, your opportunities on the sustainability side. And well, again, to understand those, you need to understand what kind of interconnections you have with let's say, environmental issues or social issues and so on. And then you, of course, need to have a certain level of governance in the company. You need to be a good corporate citizen, so to say, and a certain level of transparency too. That's kind of setting or building the base in terms of what you can do about sustainability. Then actually taking it into action, that's a whole other story, and we'll probably dive deeper into that also today. In the end, this is like a journey. It's a long journey usually for many companies. You need to see it as such. I mean, nobody can learn everything right away. You will learn on the way, and that requires, like internally from a company's point of view, it will require major effort in terms of change management, for example, to really become like putting it in the strategy is one aspect, but really making it like a thing for the entire company requires a whole lot of change management. I think this. I stumbled upon this Dannemiller formula back in the days, and I think it describes this fairly well. If you really want to, it kind of it describes the change management task. So to be able to really change something, like bring a big change to a company, you need to have a high enough dissatisfaction with the now. You need to have a vision of what's possible, and you need to have the first concrete step. And these all three things need to be higher than the resistance in the company. And I think this is something that many companies are struggling with at the moment.
Yes, that's a great saying. That's a great saying. So something you mentioned about integrating sustainability into the strategy. Let's talk about that a bit more. So once you've identified, for instance, an area of improvement, how do you think leaders can integrate then those areas of improvement and overall sustainability topics in their core business and organizational strategy?
Yeah, well, there's actually a process for this. How you do it? It's called like a corporate sustainability process. So,
sure.
As I mentioned, you need to identify first the impacts, risks, and opportunities, and that's kind of your starting point. That's the way to integrate it in the strategy, and then after that, I mean, what gets measured gets done. So
yeah.
So you need to set KPIs. You need to set targets, ambitious enough targets, usually long term. So don't focus too short. Maybe 10 years, maybe longer. From my point of view, I don't like to set too long targets either. I mean, that's a little bit demotivating. So if you have them like, you can basically get to them. You can basically imagine them, and it's not far enough so that nobody who is now working in the company is not working there anymore.
Yeah.
Then, like from that point of view, it's good to have close enough targets, but ambitious and not like a few years forward. Then, of course, to get to those targets, you need to build up some kind of a governance model within the company where these issues are actually taken into consideration. And the targets and KPIs that you choose, it's really important that those are aligned with your strategic goals. So if you have a certain business sentiment that you're trying to reach, you need to align your sustainability targets with like a similar end target, so to say. So that's very important. Okay, then you build the governance, you follow up, you report, you create that transparency towards your stakeholders so that they actually understand where you're going. And they don't have to guess, and I think that's also important that you have the enough of transparency there of what you're actually doing, and it's not only telling about what you've done already, but you can also indicate on what you're planning to do. You can communicate your roadmaps, and now especially with the new legislations coming, you need to have fairly detailed roadmaps on how to proceed. So those are a few steps where you can start at least, and then of course it becomes like a continuous development process over time.
Yeah. Makes sense, Rasmus. I think, and also in order for us to really kind of make our audience also understand this specific topic that you kind of elaborated on, can you think of examples that you've come across in the industry where they've done a good job of integrating sustainability changes at an organizational level?
Well, I would of course like to mention us.
Of course.
Kemira is, I think, a great example of this. I think our strategy really kind of builds around Well, maybe let's take a small step back. I mean, we are a chemistry company. We work in the chemical industry. That's our main business. And the big challenge in terms of chemistry is transforming the input, transforming whatever you create your products from. Because we, at least, we've done this impact, risk, and opportunity assessment, and we clearly see that one of the major impacts for us is whatever happens in the upstream value chain for us. So we need to work together with our suppliers, find ways to transform that in one or the other way. And what we're kind of embarking on at the moment is this defossilization journey, where we try to find alternative raw materials to the products that we manufacture. Raw materials that are renewable, that are recycled, basically non-fossil. And we are also a fairly electricity-intensive company. Electricity is actually like a raw material for some of our products. So on that side, we're looking into emission-free electricity sources and how to convert those. So that's kind of one way to approach it. And then, of course, our products have a certain impact again at the customer. That's why they use our products. So they are able to make their own processes more efficient. Like a concrete example of this is like a pulp process where they can buy process chemistries from us, and they can increase their resource efficiency in that process, reducing the amount of water they use, reducing the amount of raw materials they use, or such. So this is like a fairly common thing for chemistry. You use chemistry to improve the processes. So reflecting on that, what we're trying to accomplish now is first of all, build on this defossilization of the product portfolio, really like growing in renewable solutions for the chemistry that we intend to use. The second part is we operate, as you mentioned earlier, also in the water purification business. So to be able to reach a certain quality of water, like drinkable water, for example, or then disposed wastewater when we purify the wastewater and we let it back in nature, for example. These are different solutions that we provide with the chemistry that we provide. You can extract the impurities in the water, and here we really intend to grow. Our focus is expansion in the water technologies that we have at the moment. And the third and very important leg of our strategy also is to grow in digital services. So what we can do with the digital services that we have, we kind of see those as like a resource efficiency 2.0 thing for our customers. So we can bring in some digital services to their processes and further make them even more resource efficient, reduce their use of energy, or reduce their use of water, or increase the amount of sludge, for example, that we get out of the wastewater. So these three pillars are kind of a very strong focus for us. And then we built a sustainability program around those. So first of all, we think we should be a good example in certain issues like water. So we're trying to improve our water management internally, not only helping our customers improve their water management, but improve ours too. So we are kind of aligned with the agenda that our customers are trying to accomplish. And the same, if you look at the forest industry customers, for example, they have a very ambitious climate agenda. And we also, we committed last year to the Science Based Targets Initiative, and we're still working on validating our targets, but we're planning on doing it next year. And that's very high ambition from a chemical industry point of view. There's not too many chemical companies actually committed, and even fewer that have validated targets for this. So this is a little bit how we build the integration between both the business sentiment and the sustainability sentiment.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Rasmus. I think it was very insightful. Now, the next question is very much connected to the type of innovation that you're talking about, which of course is vital for success. The key aspect here is that you're obviously doing granular changes to product, to raw material. And the big question that any executive may ask is all of this comes at a cost, and of course, as an organizational goal, profitability is an important aspect of any business. How do you address those concerns in the initiatives that you are taking, or what would be your general advice to business leaders?
Yeah, well, I mean, the kind of easy approach to this is that resource efficiency equals profitability, pretty much.
Yeah.
So if you're actually putting efforts into increasing your resource efficiency when you use less water, and I mean, if you ask me, I think the price of water will increase going forward. So we see clearly like water scarcity growing, and the need for water resilience to improve is becoming very prevalent, I would say.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, when you reduce the need for energy, you reduce the need for water, for resources, raw materials, and such, then you're actually increasing your profitability. So it's good business. That's kind of at least the sentiment for me.
Definitely.
But of course, I think the big part that we're missing here is that the kind of the missing opportunities if we don't focus on sustainability. Like, how big are the deals that you're missing with your customers if you don't have this on your agenda? And I think that's actually that's the part that's of course debatable. But as I see it, and as I specifically see it in our businesses, that would be the biggest missed opportunity for us if we don't focus on these issues. And that's far bigger than any resource efficiency improvements that we can do. So from that point of view, I think that's something that businesses should consider. I mean, focusing on sustainability is future-proofing our company, basically, and really staying ahead of the curve, so to say. That's something that actually has a fairly large monetary value. Besides that, being sustainable attracts also investments. Is interesting from an investor point of view. There's a lot of different ESG investors that don't even focus on putting their money on companies that don't focus on sustainability. And what we see now specifically in the EU is also that legislation is pushing investors in a direction where they would be investing their money more heavily into sustainability focused companies. So I think there's many really good reasons to focus on this.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, it's a very, very compelling perspective. And second of all, even these insights of how investors are much more interested now in investing in companies who are more focused and aware on the ESG topics. That is definitely great. So Rasmus, now we are coming closer to the end of the episode. One of the key questions here would be for a leader who is about to get started on a journey to be more sustainable. How would you suggest they go about it?
Well, I think first of all, this topic is really broad, so that's why it's really important. And I emphasized again, it's really important to understand your impacts, risks, and opportunities. In that way, you're able to focus your work, focus on what is essential, and find kind of the upside from that direction. But overall, I mean, I see this as a revolution. It's going on already. It's happening already. If you want to be really benefiting from this, you need to be a first mover. First movers dictate the change. These companies will reap the biggest benefits out of this transformation. And this is not a small transformation. We will see full value chains working in completely different ways than they do today. Maybe it's the upstream that's changing. Maybe you're not able to use the fossil or the mineral value chains anymore. maybe you need to grow your product instead, like in form of plants, or maybe you need to capture them from the air. That's the revolution that's happening basically. So this is maybe one point that start moving already now. Don't think about it anymore. The front runners are moving already, but if you're in your business, there might not be any front runners. Maybe you can grab that position already, or then just run and catch the ones who are running in front of you. That's kind of one point of view. Then the time frame is important. Think long enough. Don't focus only on near term, like 2 to 5 years. Focus on 10 years. What can you actually accomplish? Because these transformation cycles, these cycles of changing, really running the change management in a company, it takes a long time. So you need to prepare for that also. And from that point of view, the maturity in companies on these topics, it takes a long time to build on that. I mean, we've seen the climate topic now being like let's say a coffee table discussion topic since 2018 approximately. And we're still struggling with executives to get executives to understand it enough in detail. So start now, go about it, focus on your most important topics directly, and keep a long enough time frame. And then build expertise in the company too. If you decide that climate change is your topic to focus on, if you can improve your customers' approach to that, and you can actually build some benefits for them, solving their sustainability issues, then you should have also like a high-level expert on that topic in your company. You really need to understand it. You need to educate your organization on the topic, and so on. So that would be another angle again to look at this. So I'm not saying this is easy. I'm not saying it's going to be straightforward. It's a journey, and you learn on the journey.
Yeah.
But don't postpone starting too much. It's good to get going.
Great. Excellent advice, Rasmus. So, and thanks a lot for sharing your expertise with us today. It was definitely enlightening for myself. So with that, I would end the podcast and the episode for today. I want to thank you, Rasmus, for joining us and shedding light on the topic of sustainability, giving your advice from your expertise and experience to global leaders, and how and what they need to do to integrate sustainability into their business strategy. And finally, I would like to thank all our listeners for tuning into SprintlyWorks podcast. We'll continue to record such interesting episodes. So, of course, stay tuned. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Great. Perfect.